Hello, 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 and welcome back to the AI Cafe Conversations. This is your host, Sahar, your AI Whisperer, and welcome to our regular Wednesday full episodes. All right, let's talk about the conversation that's keeping CEOs up at night. Not the board presentation, not the quarterly earning call, but the one they know they need to have with their team and keep postponing. The conversation about what AI transformation actually means for jobs. Because here is what every honest CEO knows: AI is going to change how work gets done. Some roles will expand, some will shift, some will disappear entirely. And at some point, someone has to stand in front of the organization and say that out loud. But most CEOs are waiting and waiting and waiting for the right time. Waiting until they have all the answers, waiting until the transformation is complete so they can present solutions instead of uncertainties. And they understand that instance. Leaders want to protect their teams. They don't want to create panic. They want to have a plan before they communicate change. But here is what neuroscience tells us: your silence is not creating safety, it's creating threat. Because your team already knows, they can feel it. They see the AI pilots, they hear the whispers, they read the industry news. And when they sense change but leadership won't talk about it, their brain goes into threat mode. And threat mode doesn't produce innovation, it produces shadow AI, quiet quitting, resume updating. Today I'm going to walk you through what I call the Macmillan moment. And I'm going to give you the leadership transparency protocol, a frame for how to have the conversation that most CEOs are avoiding. Because the truth is, there is no right time, there is only right now. So let's start by what I call the Macmillan moment, or why silence fails. So let me tell you about the moment that should define how every CEO approaches this conversation. November 2024, Walmart headquarters. CEO Doug Macmillan is standing in front of his leadership team. And he says something that matters and that makes the entire room go silent. He said, "It's very clear that AI is going to change literally every job. Not AI might change some jobs, not we are exploring how AI could impact certain roles, but AI is going to change literally every job." And then he adds, "There may be a job that AI won't change, but I have not yet heard of it," including his own, including everyone in that room. The room went silent again because they realized leadership isn't safe either. Now, here is what's brilliant about what Macmillan did. He did not sugarcoat. He did not hedge. He didn't say, "Don't worry, everything will be fine." He named the reality, and by naming it, he created psychological safety. Because here is what happens in your employees' brains when they sense change, but leadership won't acknowledge it. Their amygdala, the threat detection center, activates. They start scanning for danger. They interpret every email differently. Every meeting has a subtext. You know what they call the water cooler meeting after the meeting? That's it. Every strategy initiative feels like a threat. And in that state, people won't collaborate. They protect, they hide. They start using unapproved AI tools because they are afraid the approved process will reveal they're struggling. That's how shadow AI starts. Not from malice, from fear. But when a leader stands up and says, "Yes, this is changing. Here is what I know. Here is what I don't know. Here is how we're going to figure it out together," the amygdala calms down. The prefrontal cortex, the strategic thinking part, comes back online. And people shift from "how do I protect myself" to "how do we solve this together?" Psychological safety. That's what Macmillan did. He converted fear into partnership. Now I want to contrast that with what most CEOs are doing right now. And I'm not judging this. Understand that there are things behind why they are doing it this way, and I understand the instant. but I want you to see why it doesn't work. Most CEOs are having what I call whisper conversations. They're talking to their direct reports behind closed doors. Between you and me, AI is going to significantly change how we operate. They are acknowledging it in small groups, in executive team meetings, in board presentation. But they're not saying it organization-wide because they are waiting for certainty. They want to have the full plan before they communicate. And here is what's happening while they wait. Employees are hearing rumors. They are seeing the pilots. They are noticing that hiring has slowed. They're watching competitors announce AI initiatives. And they are drawing their own conclusions, which are usually worse than reality. Because when humans don't have information, we don't assume the best. We assume the worst because the brain cannot live in chaos, even if it has to invent information to fill the gaps. That's how our threat detection systems and how it works. So while the CEO is trying to protect people from anxiety by staying silent, the silence is actually creating more anxiety. And that anxiety manifests as shadow AI, as quiet quitting, as your best people starting to look for jobs because they don't trust leadership to tell them the truth. All right, so let me give you the framework. This is a 5-phase protocol for how to have this conversation with integrity and courage. Phase 1, leaders go first. Before you stand in front of your organization and talk about AI transformation, you need to stand in front of your leadership team and model vulnerability. This is where most CEOs want to skip ahead. They want to present the plan, they want to look strong and certain. But here is what your leadership team needs to see first. You are in this with them. And here is what phase 1 looks in practice. You gather your executive team and you say something like this. I need to be honest with you about something. I have been using AI tools that are not on our approved list. ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Copilot. Because the tools we have approved don't always solve the problems I'm facing fast enough. And I know many of you are doing the same thing. So before we talk about what AI transformation means for the organization, let's acknowledge what's already meant for us. Do you see what just happened? You didn't announce a policy change. You announced shared reality. And when leaders admit their own AI use, their own uncertainty, their own learning curve, the psychological safety barrier drops. Your executive team realizes, oh, this is not about catching people doing something wrong. This is about figuring this out together. And that's the foundation you need before you go organization-wide. Phase 2, name the reality. Don't sugarcoat it. Now you're ready to go broader. All hands meeting, company-wide communication, however you do major announcement. And here is the critical part. Don't hedge. Don't say AI might impact some roles in the future. Say AI is going to change how we work. Period. Some roles will expand, some will shift, some will be eliminated. That's the reality we are navigating together. I can already hear some CEOs pushing back. But if I say that, people will panic. They will start leaving. And then my response to that is they are already panicking. They are just doing it silently. And the ones who are going to leave are already updating their resumes. But the ones who might stay, the ones who want to be part of the solution, they need to know you're being honest with them. And here is the neuroscience piece that matters. When you sugarcoat, people's brain know you are not telling the full truth. They can sense the incongruence, and that actually creates more anxiety than direct truth. But when you name the reality clearly, even if it's uncomfortable, their brains relax. Because certainty, even about difficult things, is less transferred than ambiguity. Phase number 3, show the data. Don't hide numbers. This is where most CEOs go wrong. They talk in generalities. Some roles may change. We are evaluating various scenarios. No, show the data. Not because you want to scare people, but because people need to make informed decisions about their careers. So say 70% of job skills will change by 2030. That's not our internal data. That's LinkedIn's global workforce analysis. This isn't just us. This is the entire professional landscape. Or in our industry, 40% of entry-level tasks are now automated or can be automated. That's not a prediction, that's a current capability. When you show real data, you demonstrate that this is not about your company's poor performance. This isn't about cutting costs. This is about a fundamental shift in how work gets done. And that's actually less scary than people assuming you're just trying to cut headcounts for short-term profits. Phase number 4, offer pathways, reskilling, redeployment, support. Okay, now here is the protocol shifts from transparency to action. You have named the reality. You have shown the data. Now you need to show the pathway forward. And this is not, don't worry, it will all work out. This is concrete, specific programs. Like, here is what we're doing. We are creating an AI skills academy. Every employee will have access to training. We are partnering with maybe name specific vendors to provide certification programs. We are committing that for any role that's eliminated due to AI, we will offer first right of refusal for newly created AI adjacent roles. Or we are creating a 90-day rotation program where people in impacted roles can learn other parts of the business. We are not guaranteeing everyone keeps their exact job, but we are committing to invest in developing new skills. Does this cost money? Yes. Is it cheaper than losing institutional knowledge and rebuilding your workforce from scratch? Also yes. But more importantly, this is how you maintain trust. Your team doesn't need you to promise nothing will change. They need you to promise you won't abandon them during the change. And that's actually what they need to know. Okay, let's start the last phase, or phase 5, to create a timeline, not vague future, actual dates. And this is the one most CEOs skip because it feels risky. Don't say over the next few years. Don't say as we continue to evaluate. Say by quarter or the second quarter of 2026, these specific roles will transition to AI augmented models. By the fourth quarter, 2026, we will have completed the first phase of reskilling. By 2027, we expect our workforce composition to look like this. Real dates, specific timelines. And yes, you might have to revise those dates later. That's fine. You will communicate the changes as you go. But your team needs to know now. This is not some vague future possibility. This is a specific transformation with a specific timeline. Because here is what happens when you give people timelines. They can plan, they can prepare, they can make informed decisions about their careers, about their families. When you keep it vague, they stay in anxiety because their brains can't plan for someday. But when you say second quarter of 2026, their brains shift from threat response to strategic planning mode. So now I want to share something that executive coach Jerry Colonna said that should terrify and motivate every CEO in equal measure. He writes, AI is about to expose the underbelly of leadership. What does that mean? It means that the leaders who have been coasting on authority without actual strategic value are about to be revealed. Because AI is a truth teller. It makes inefficiency visible. It makes unnecessary hierarchy visible. It makes weak leadership visible. And the leaders who respond to AI transformation with silence, with denial, and with let's just see what happens, they are going to be swept aside. But the leaders who stand up and say, yes, this is hard. Yes, there is uncertainty. Here is what we know. Here is what we don't know. Here is how we're going to navigate it together. Those leaders become irreplaceable. Because AI can do what they are doing. AI cannot build trust during uncertainty. AI cannot model vulnerability. AI cannot hold psychological safety while delivering hard truth. That's uniquely human leadership. And it's more valuable in AI age than ever before. So here is the question I want every CEO to ask themselves. What kind of leader do you want to be exposed as? The one who hid from difficult conversations because they were uncomfortable, or the one who stood in front of their organization and said the true thing even when they didn't have all the answers? Because your team is going to remember how you showed up during this transformation. And 5 years from now, they are going to tell stories about this moment. What story do you want them to tell? All right, before we wrap, I need to talk about timing because I can already hear some executives thinking, okay, I get it. I need to have this conversation. I will schedule something for next quarter. No, not next quarter. Now. Here is why speed matters. Every week that you stay silent is a week for employees to make decisions based on incomplete information. They are deciding whether to look for other jobs. They are deciding whether to invest in learning new skills. They are deciding whether to trust you. And if your competitors communicate first, if they stand up and say, hey, here is our AI transformation plan, here is how we are supporting our people, your best talent goes there. Not because they don't believe in your company, but because they trust transparent leadership over silent leadership. Here is my recommendation. Within 30 days of listening to this episode, you need to have some version of this conversation. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to have all the answers, but you have to demonstrate that you're not hiding, that you're not waiting until you have total certainty, that you're willing to lead through ambiguity. And that's the best leadership. That's the highest level of leadership. And here is what happens when you move quickly. You set the narrative. Instead of employees hearing about AI transformation through rumor and industry news and grapevines, they hear it from you first, from the source, with context, with support, with a pathway forward. That's how you maintain trust through transformation. So let me bring this home. Walmart CEO stood in front of his team and said, AI will change literally every job. The room went silent, and then they started planning. That's the Macmillan moment. Leadership transparency that converts fear into action. And here's the protocol. 1, leaders go first. Model vulnerability. 2, name the reality. Don't sugarcoat it. 3, show the data. Don't hide numbers. 4, offer pathways, reskilling, redeployment, support. Number 5, create timeline, not vague future, but actual dates. This is not easy, but it's necessary. But leaders don't do things because they're easy. Because AI is about to expose the underbelly of leadership, and the leaders who hold their seat with courage and transparency will be the ones who guide their organizations through. Next Friday, we are wrapping up this series with the next episode, Walking into AI with Open Eyes, the Executive's Honest Advocacy Framework. I'm going to show you how to position yourself as the leader who champions AI and protects people. Because those are not contradictory positions. They are the only positions that work. Until then, ask yourself, if you knew your team already sensed the change, would you still wait to have the conversation? Because they do, and you shouldn't. Talk soon. This is Sahar, your AI whisperer. If you want to get hold of me, you can email me at sahar@saharconsulting.com. You can reach me on LinkedIn, Sahar Andrade, or on Instagram, Sahar the Reinvent Coach. I hope to hear from you, but before I go, show me some love. Save this episode for later. You can use it as a plan. If you want an actual little document about the phases and how to do them, email me at sahar@saharconsulting.com. I will send it to you. I will email it back to you. Share it with someone that needs to hear it. And most importantly, subscribe to the podcast and rate it. You have been giving me a lot of love. You have been putting me on #1 on Apple Podcasts for multiple keywords, as well as on Amazon, on Spotify, and on YouTube. And I love you for it. So thank you so much until we meet on Friday for our Forbes article-like episode, short episode. And now, peace out.